All right, guys, I'm back. So many stores are sold out of milk and cigarettes. I have a giant pile of stuff to go through, and I'm going to try to get these videos going at a way faster rate than previously done, but we'll see how that goes. So first item up on the table after the break is this Hot Pursuit plate carrier from Lionheart Alliance, OEM'd by First Sphere. There's a lot of features to go through on this thing, and I want to get it on the table and get these plates out of it sooner than later. But just know, if you've ever been dragging your feet on buying First Sphere stuff because it doesn't really play well with kind of the rest of the industry, this will solve a lot of those problems. So let's get on the table and take a look at it. All right, hey guys, I don't want to split this one up more than I need to, but I wanted to show you a little bit about plate fitment before we go through all of the features, and I want to have the plates out of the way when we do that. All right, so some of this may kind of solve itself as we go through and potentially adjust some things that weren't quite adjusted yet. But out of the box, it fit pretty darn well, and I think it fit the way that it's intended to fit. It's law enforcement oriented as far as I can tell, and not really set up to have internal side armor or anything like that. So waist, circumference measurement, what have you, pretty on the money for a medium plate carrier. And then the shoulder straps we're pretty good. We'll play around with the adjustment and we'll go through any limitation concerns there. All right, so it's a medium plate carrier, medium ESAPs and backers. Threw those in, and I was real excited because they appeared to fit flush with the bottom of the plate pocket, and they do. The plate pocket is the right size, the flap and getting it secured. I think just kind of the way that First Sphere closes things up, you know, there's a folded edge here, and I think between the plate backer and the ESAPI being a little bit of a thicker plate to begin with, getting the full flap around them just wasn't quite happening. So there's plenty of Velcro in here. It's doing its job just fine, but there is a little bit of exposed Velcro, both front and back, less on the back, but the back is doing some kind of interesting things with the Cummerbund flap here, and we'll go over that when we get there, right? But medium plates, kind of the worst example of medium plates, I think. It's kind of the way I'm looking at doing this. Seems to fit just fine. So let me get the plates out of here so we can move it around on the table a little bit easier. Okay, moving on, got the plates out of the way. So I did just look this up, and I think in this configuration it's $380 on Lionheart's website, which for a complete First Sphere plate carrier is by no means unusual. All right, they're very high quality plate carriers. You got a little bit of you gotta mark it up because you're not making them, and I think 380 is pretty darn fair, especially as we go through this and you see kind of the construction and the features that are in here. All right, so looking at the front plate pocket here, your actual pocket is very straightforward. It is a single pocket, no soft armor channel versus plate channel, no retention strap in there or anything like that. Just a simple flap to keep that closed with a webbing pull tab to kind of help you get your plate back out. All right, so when everything's sitting kind of flush, that's what you're left with, and the flap and the plate bag are both kind of gusseted to provide for some depth of the plates there. All right, I'm confident you could shove small plates in here with the way this flap is sewn up a little higher and be fine. With medium plates, it's got to come, you know, to the bottom of the plate bag and up around, which is where we kind of ran into some of that excess strap. All right, I like that there's nothing else going on in here, because if the plate bags are sized correctly, you shouldn't need anything going on. Some folks will throw a strap inside just for some added security, which is fine, but you shouldn't have any plate adjustment to do. Also, it has a little bit of tweave on the sides here of the plate bag. So if you have thicker plates versus thinner plates, it will give and take up slack as needed. Right. Up on the top, there is a zippered admin pocket. Very, very nice operating zipper there. And it is lined on both sides with First Spear's kind of super soft loop Velcro there. All right, now I've noticed inside here, I might be able to pull this up for you guys, there is a little reinforced cutout for potential cable routing, which I would not have put any stock into, except when I was trying to figure out what's going on up here, because there's definitely something else going on. There's a lot of ability to route cables in this plate carrier, and I'm probably going to miss some, but if you reach up through the top corner of the plate pocket, you can you'll find a void behind the shoulder straps here, which is a way to get cables back out of the front pocket if that is something that you need to do. You can get cables into the front pocket essentially anywhere you want, because this is all laser cut Powell's field with Velcro on top of it. Additionally, these placard mounts, which as far as I know, this is kind of the first Spear carrier that has Molly or Powell's that is also set up to use placards. It's one of the things that at least as up until I stopped really paying attention to First Spear super closely, they were not placard friendly out of the box. And so these placards are mounted, or these buckles are mounted on some one wrap, which I'm not quite sure where all it engages in here, but the tail end of the one wrap is up towards the top of the plate pocket here. So I'm sure it's not a quick change to get that in and out of there, but you can remove those if you want to, and reinstall them if you want to, just by loosening up that Velcro and pulling it out through that slot. So if you needed to raise it or lower it, you absolutely can. You can't go any lower than the admin pocket here, because it just won't engage with anything, but it's in there, and you can use that ability as you need. And then also the front portion of where the shoulder straps attach is a pass-through behind the admin pocket. So if you needed to take an antenna up one direction and push the talk out the other direction, or earbuds out the other direction, or something like that, you absolutely can. The whole kind of plate bag is yours to mess with for comms routing as needed. All right. The zippered admin pocket, I was messing around with it with the plates in here, and it has much of the same issue that zippered admin pockets always do for me, which is where they don't really have any depth, and it can be hard to get your hand in there to find any items that you want. However, it's a pretty shallow admin pocket, and they must have just a little bit of slack built into this, because it wasn't as pronounced of being a tight opening as what I'm used to. All right, so that's it for the front plate bag here. It does have small tubes up top for quick disconnect shoulder straps. I'm not a huge fan of having quick detached shoulder straps, but if you need to, these are mounted nice and close to the plate bag and about as out of the way as possible. I'm fairly certain that if you needed to hard mount your shoulder strap, you could come up with a way to do it. However, it is not provided in this plate carrier. You are stuck with these tubes the way that they come. All right. Inside of the plate bag, you've got kind of their version of pontoons here. I don't know if that's a trademark term, but you have it with kind of this closed cell mesh. I'm a big fan of doing padding with that more closed cell mesh as opposed to 3D spacer mesh or whatnot, and then a rather limited footprint to try to create an air channel there. All right, and they're removable. All right, so if you hate it, you just pull them off, or if you need to use that Velcro for something else, it is present. Okay, front plate bag out of the way. Let's move on to the rear plate bag. All right, so the plate pocket is very similar. Not the same loop lining as the front, which is kind of interesting. It is primarily just the raw Cordura. I don't want to say raw Cordura. It's treated Cordura, right? Just a very simple rear plate pocket with the same closure right there. So it is not as dangler friendly as it could be, because these plate pockets both close on the exterior face, but you absolutely could put a dangler in there if you wanted, which would be hook on the body side, loop away, and this one would be the same setup. Okay, I kind of wanted to save this, but this is a huge change to First Sphere compared to what I'm used to. So this is Spiritus back panel compatible. So I have just their Molly panel mounted on here right now, but it does have zippers straight from First Sphere or Lionheart, depending on how you look at it. So it'll take Spiritus back panels. I think the Spiritus back panels are one of the best ones, if not the best ones in construction that you can find, because this Tigris really goes a long way to make whatever you have mounted on the back plate bag rather sturdy. Right, so especially for law enforcement type setup where that could easily include some pretty heavy breaching tools, I think that Spiritus has kind of the go-to on rigid back panels. It's not to say that other people don't get close, but if you're looking for zip-on rigidness, Spiritus is the way to go. All right, I didn't bother looping it in up here. However, it will play with that just fine. All right, it's just going to be kind of a chore, but the Velcro does engage nicely, and then you just got to do the snaps for redundancy. All right, so let's get this out of the way. It does not come with a Spiritus back panel, but it is compatible. All right. It wasn't immediately apparent that it had zippers because they have kind of this extra flap here, which I appreciate, especially on a law enforcement plate carrier. If you don't want to advertise that you have zippers and just kind of want to keep those clean lines for uniform type stuff, it does that pretty well. All right, what was kind of interesting is once you have the panel mounted and this kind of curls out of the way, these little tabs here on the cummerbund flap don't really know what to do with themselves, so they kind of turn in a little bit, which is not going to cause any issues. It was just kind of, once I put it on there, I was trying to figure out what was too tensioned or not tensioned enough, and that's just kind of how that sits. All right, another kind of cool thing is the way that they did this. The cummerbund flap can actually be folded up depending on what you have in or on your back panel with the back panel mounted. So that'll pull up out of the way, and then you have your adjustable cummerbund attachment in the rear, right? With all that nice First Sphere Velcro real estate there. What's really cool though is that this is also going to be skeletonized cummerbund compatible. So you can have your Velcro mounted cummerbund, or you can weave in some Cry style fingers, lace that up. You're going to need to figure out how you want to close the Velcro, potentially with a little bit more continuity there, right? Because it's kind of loop on loop on loop. But this lock up here is very nice, even with the back panel on. You're just going to have a little bit of different flavor of bulk in there. But to be Spiritus back panel compatible and arguably Axle SPC cummerbund compatible right out of the box, like that's kind of the trifecta of capability there, and really cool, right? Spiritus back panels are great. Not a huge fan of the LV119, and I really hate setting up the LV119 cummerbunds. This is kind of all of the things that you could want at the same time. So kudos to Lionheart for kind of speccing it this way, and First Sphere for making it. All right, before we get to the cummerbund, we'll look at the shoulder straps. They shouldn't be anything crazy because First Sphere shoulder straps usually aren't, but you have this nice very lightly padded tweave shoulder strap wrap. And then you have a pretty straightforward metal tri-glide Velcro sandwich going on. I'm not quite sure, and I might have missed it in the description, what these what this setup is for here. I don't know. I'll have to try to figure that out. Maybe put a follow-up in the description or something, because it's not needed for securing this. I guess you could get added security if you wanted to, but plenty of adjustment in those shoulder straps going both directions. Big fan of that. And then the Cummerbund is kind of an interesting setup here. So it is soft armor compatible with this giant Velcro sandwich. Once you disconnect all of that, you can drop in, I want to say this had 5x10 panels, so something a little bit custom. I think usually they're 6x9, but you can put soft armor in your Cummerbund, or you can just use this for mounting whatever pouches you might need to. So that's a win. But it is also fairly structured, kind of like the old DBT fast attack plate carrier. So this is just rigid material. I don't know if there's Tegris sewn in there or just plastic or what that is. Can't quite tell. I think that might just be more of a plastic. I don't know, maybe it's curved. It doesn't appear to have kind of that carbon fibery look to it. But it is a rigid Cummerbund, which I have not seen out of First Spear before. You do have a little bit of flexibility coming off the back plate bag with that pure elastic connection, but you shouldn't have any issues with side plates or radios or anything like that sagging with all of this, and then a pretty good lockup with the tubes in the front. They have also avoided losing any real estate with the tubes, aside from about an inch here with them kind of tucked away there. And then you also get some internal pockets here, right? You get one that is kind of a sewn bottom, and then one that is a adjustable bottom with this chunk of one wrap. Both of which are going to take M4 mags just fine. We'll see about a radio. If I can find one. All right. Had to find a battery. Oh, shoot. I don't know if I got matching batteries here. All right, so you get a, what is this thing? Motorola XTS 2500, not the greatest. So you get, that's a kind of an older radio, but that'll drop in there just fine. Plenty of room for the side connector and plenty of room to lower that as needed. I don't have a mill radio surrogate handy right now, I apologize. And then M4 mag. I assume you would want the M4 mag behind the radio. But if you don't need both, you could put the M4 mag up front, which is going to be easier to grab, and you could sink it a little bit lower so it's out of your armpit. Right, so you got options there, and that is mirrored on both sides. Right, and then from the website, I was wondering about that. There you go. Rain, don't get after them. They licensed it. Large Cummerbund. They have multiple size Cummerbunds, so you can plug and play whatever size plate bag you need with whatever size Cummerbund you need, so you don't have to live just based off of plate sizing, right? You get plate pockets to fit your plates, and then Cummerbunds to fit you. So really cool. All right. So again, $380, and the way that I priced that was including a medium Cummerbund with pads, I believe, for $380. Don't quote me too hard on that because I was smashing buttons with the phone sideways, but there you go. That is the First Spear Hot Pursuit plate carrier from Lionheart Alliance. I don't know anything about Lionheart. Seem to have their heads on straight because this is a pretty cool setup. Huge thank you to the gentleman that sent me this. And gosh, if I was in the market for a new plate carrier, this one would be up there, because this packs a lot of cool features into the same package without having to kind of fight yourself on it. I would imagine they enable you to buy it without the cummerbund as well if you wanted to go straight for a cry style. But this one's pretty dope. I don't have any real complaints with this one. Until you ruck, if you've got love handles and you ruck with one of these rigid cummerbunds, you are going to slice the crap out of your sides. But that's a fat kid problem and not a first spear problem. So thanks for your time, guys. Sorry for being gone for so long. Hopefully get videos flowing again soon.